3.6, the inverse and the contrapositive of conditional statements. So here's something. Mother Teresa said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. Decide whether the statement means the same thing as if you don't judge people, then you have time to love them. Okay, does that mean the same? The statements are very similar, but not identical. If you do not spend time judging or criticizing people, then you can spend that time in more constructive ways, such as loving. However, you might be spending that time ignoring them. That's not judging, but you're not loving them, you're just ignoring them. So not quite the same. And we're going to learn what type of statement that is. First of all, an inverse is negating both the hypothesis and the conclusion. So if a number is even, then it is divisible by 2. The inverse is if a number is not even, then it is not divisible. Okay. So then we have something also called a contrapositive, a statement that is formed by negating both the hypothesis and the conclusion of the converse. So first of all, switch hypothesis and conclusion, then make them both negative. So if a number is divisible, if a number is even, and then it's divisible by 2. So now we say if divisible, but not. So if the number is not divisible, then it is not even. Okay, and we're going to look at some examples. So each time we do these statements, you're going to have to put on your creative hat and see if you can find counterexamples or examples. Okay, begin with the math teacher's statement. Is it true? If a polygon is a triangle, it has 3 sides. Yes. That's the definition of a triangle. Write the converse. So remember, converse, we switch. So we write if 3 sides, then triangle. So if 3 sides, then triangle. Is that true? Yes. Again, it is a definition of a triangle. Write the inverse. So now we just put a not in front of the original. If a polygon is not a triangle, then it does not, we make it negative, does not have 3 sides. That's true. If it's not a triangle, it doesn't have 3 sides. It's going to have a different amount of sides. It's going to be a polygon, a multi-sided figure with not 3 sides. Now we're going to write the contrapositive. So that's where we put the not on the converse. So if not 3 sides, then not a triangle. That's true as well. If it does not have 3 sides, then it's not a triangle. That's very true. Okay, let's look at our geography teacher. What are you guys doing talking to a geography teacher? Okay, so his teacher said if you live in Saskatoon, then you live in Saskatchewan. So let's look at this statement. If you live in Saskatoon, you live in Saskatchewan? Yes. Write the converse. So if you live in Saskatchewan, then you live in Saskatoon. No, you could live in Yorkton, you could live in Watrous, you could live in Imperial, you could live in Lake Lenore. There's a bunch of places you could live. So that is not true. The converse was not true. The inverse, okay? So inverse. If you do not live in Saskatoon, then you do not live in Saskatchewan. Let's try that again. If you do not live in Saskatoon, then you do not live in Saskatchewan. Well, I live in Imperial. That's not in Saskatoon, but I'm pretty sure that's in Saskatchewan. So the inverse is false. Now let's try the contrapositive. So first of all, remember, it's if you live in Saskatchewan, then you live in Saskatoon. So this says if you do not live in Saskatchewan, you do not live in Saskatoon. That's true. So in this case, the contrapositive was true. Okay, just to summarize what those concepts mean, you form the inverse of a conditional statement by negating both the hypothesis and the conclusion. You form the contrapositive by exchanging and negating. So contrapositive, you do 2 things. Exchange and negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion. If a conditional statement is true, then the contrapositive is true, and vice versa. If the inverse of a conditional statement is true, then the converse of the statement is also true. Some things that you will see.